Welcome to Communicate to Lead, the podcast that empowers leaders and aspiring leaders to communicate with clarity and impact. I'm Kele Belton, CEO and successful entrepreneur, and your host for today. I'm here to equip you with all the essential tools and strategies to master effective communication and lead your team to success. As the founder and CEO of The Tailored Approach, my goal is to empower you to be the best leader you can be. So sit back, relax, and join me in today's episode as we dive into the art of communicating like a true leader. You know that moment when you're about to ask for something important, a promotion, a raise, an opportunity, and you realize you're not quite sure how to position it. Maybe you've asked for things before, but you didn't get the response you hoped for. Or maybe you got a, "we'll think about it," that turned into nothing. Perhaps you walked away feeling like you didn't present your ideas as effectively as you could have. Or worse, like you somehow diminished your own value in the process. I'm willing to bet this scenario hits close to home. And you are not alone, my friends. And more importantly, you are not broken. The old narrative used to be that women simply don't ask for what they want. But that story is evolving. Today, many women are asking. We're simply not always doing it strategically. And that makes all the difference between getting what you want and walking away empty-handed. What if I told you that learning to ask for what you want strategically and confidently is one of the most powerful leadership skills you can develop? Not only for yourself, but for every woman who comes after you. Welcome back to Communicate to Lead. I'm your host, Kele Belton, and today we're tackling something that affects virtually every woman in the workplace: how to ask for what you want without feeling selfish. Last week, we covered how to turn your mid-year review into career advancement using my 4-step mid-year review framework. The logical next question is, okay, I've identified my goals and created my action plan, but how do I actually communicate these requests without feeling like I'm being too pushy or demanding? This episode is your answer, my friend. Over the next 30 minutes, we're going to dismantle the beliefs that keep you small, give you a clear framework for making requests with confidence, and help you reframe advocacy as leadership. By the end of today's episode, you'll have the tools to ask for what you want and feel good about doing it. Let me start with a story about transformation. I am currently working with an exceptional woman in the tech industry, and I know I have her permission to share this transformation because it's incredible and simply remarkable to watch her do this. She has been consistently doing various bosses' work for the last 5 years. She spent a year doing her chief technical officer's work, CTO for short. And when her boss was let go, instead of getting promoted to that chief technical officer position, she was moved to a different division. There, she spent another year doing incredible work that made her VP look good. And when I say good, I mean she's exceptional, she always delivers, and she always does her best work. When a specific position recently opened up, one she was clearly qualified for, her boss told her it was already promised to someone else. Instead, her boss wanted to keep her in the same position while giving her even more work to support other partners in the business. When we started coaching about this, she was frustrated and felt invisible despite her obvious value to the organization. And after a few coaching sessions, she got crystal clear on what she actually wanted: specific projects that would energize her and give her the visibility she needs to advance. She stopped accepting whatever was handed to her and started advocating for what would serve her career goals. Here's what happened when she applied the framework we're going to discuss today. She asked for what she wanted, explained clearly how it would benefit her boss and the organization, and her boss said yes. Not only did she get the project she requested, but she positioned herself as a strategic thinker who knew how to create value for the organization. This transformation highlights a crucial aspect of our current position versus our past. For decades, the narrative has been that women don't ask for what they want because of conditioning and fear. And to be fair, some women still struggle with this. I know I have in the past. The voices tell us that we're being too demanding or that we should be grateful for what we have. Those voices are real, and they do hold some women back. Yet, the current data suggests that this old story is becoming outdated. Today, 60% of women negotiate their salaries compared to 68% of men, a much smaller gap than traditional narrative suggests. The issue has evolved. More and more women are asking, but many of us haven't learned to ask strategically. So the problem isn't that women don't deserve advancement or recognition. The problem isn't even that we're not speaking up. The problem is that we haven't been taught how to advocate for ourselves in a way that positions us for success. Women still earn approximately 83 to 85 cents for every dollar earned by men, according to the latest Bureau of Labor Statistic data, despite the fact that we negotiate at nearly the same rates as men. This tells us something important. It's not about having the courage to ask anymore. It's about knowing how to ask strategically, how to frame our requests in terms of organizational value, and how to navigate these conversations like the leaders we already are. Here's what I want you to understand. Asking for what you want isn't selfish. It's strategic. It's how you communicate your value, clarify expectations, and create opportunities for growth. When you advocate for yourself effectively, you're not only advancing your own career, you are modeling leadership behavior and paving the way for other women to do the same. The real question isn't whether you should ask for what you want. The question is how to do it in a way that feels authentic, confident, and aligned with your values. Before we dive into the how, let's talk about where we are versus where we've been. The traditional narratives around women and self-advocacy has focused heavily on conditioning and fear. The idea that we've been taught to be accommodating and selfless, which stops us from speaking up for ourselves. And yes, there is certainly truth to that story. Many of us did learn that good goals don't make demands. We were praised for putting others' needs before our own. These aren't inherently negative qualities. They are actually valuable leadership traits. But for some women, these messages created internal barriers to advocacy. However, the workplace reality has shifted. Today's data shows that women are speaking up more than ever before. We are asking for promotions, negotiating salaries, pursuing opportunities at rates much closer to men than the old narratives suggest. But here's what I'm seeing in my coaching practice. The women who succeed aren't necessarily the ones who ask the most. They are the ones who ask the most strategically. They understand that how you frame a request is often more important than the request itself. They know that linking their ask to organizational value gets better results than listing personal qualifications. They have learned to navigate these conversations like business discussions rather than personal pleas. The shift we need to make isn't from silence to speaking up. Many of us have already made that transition. The shift we need to make is from asking to asking strategically, from making requests to making compelling business cases, from hoping our work speaks for itself to actively translating our value into language that drives decisions. This isn't about changing who you are. It's about communicating who you are more effectively. Now that we've addressed the mindset, let's talk about the method. I want to share with you a framework we used in my signature group coaching program, Ignite Your Leadership Power Incubator, called the Clear Communication Framework. This framework ensures that your requests are strategic, specific, and positioned for success. The C in CLEAR stands for clarify the context and what you need. Before you make any requests, provide the context that helps the other person understand why this conversation matters. Then clarify exactly what you are asking for. This isn't about justifying your worth. It's about framing the request within the bigger picture and being specific about your ask. For example, instead of saying, I think I deserve a raise, you could say something like, I'd like to discuss my compensation in light of the expanded responsibilities I've taken on and the results I've delivered this quarter. Specifically, I'm requesting a salary adjustment to reflect my current contributions and market value. That's the C. L in clear stands for link to mutual benefit. This is where you connect your request to the value it creates for the organization, not what it means for you personally. Be specific about your contributions and their impact. Use metrics, examples, and concrete outcomes whenever possible. This isn't bragging, it's documentation. You are helping the other person, your boss, understand the return on investment. For example, this adjustment would ensure I can continue dedicating my full focus to the strategic initiatives that have already generated 15% increase in team productivity. That's how you could say something instead of being vague about it. Link it very clearly to a mutual benefit. The E in clear stands for express with confidence. Make your request direct and clear. Avoid hedging words like maybe, possibly, if you think it's appropriate. So instead of saying, I was wondering if there might be a possibility for me to get involved in the new product launch, try this instead. I want to lead the marketing strategy for the new product launch. Confident requests get confident responses. Keep it clear, keep it direct, and keep it concise. A stands for affirm your commitment. This is where you demonstrate that you are serious about following through and contributing to the success of whatever you are requesting. Show that you have thought through the implications and are ready to deliver. You might say something like, I'm committed to exceeding the goals we set and will provide monthly progress updates to ensure we stay aligned on outcomes. And then finally, we have the R in clear, which stands for request specifically. Don't let the conversation end without clarity on what happens next. So many times I've seen conversations take place and people move away from the conversation and they are not clear what is supposed to happen next. Do not leave that up to chance. This shows you're serious about the request and helps maintain momentum. Ask questions like, what additional information would be helpful for you to consider this request? Or what would need to happen for this to move forward? Be specific about timelines and next steps. This framework works because it addresses both the logical and emotional aspects of making requests. It provides a structure that feels professional and strategic while helping you communicate with confidence and clarity. Yet, even with a solid framework, you might find that your requests aren't landing the way you hope. Let's address the most common strategic missteps that can undermine even well-intentioned advocacy efforts. The first challenge is positioning. Many women focus on their qualifications and accomplishments when making requests, which feels logical, but it isn't always persuasive. The more strategic approach is to focus on the value you create and the problems you solve. Instead of saying, I have 5 years of experience and excellent performance reviews, try, the initiatives I've led have generated 20% efficiency gains, and I'd like to discuss how to expand that impact. That's the first challenge. Make sure to position your request clearly and as a benefit or focusing on impact. The second challenge is timing your ask around achievements rather than organizational needs. You might think the best time to ask for a promotion is right after completing a successful project. But the more strategic approach is to align your requests with budget cycles, strategic planning periods, or when your role naturally connects to organizational priorities. The third challenge is the comparison trap, but with a strategic twist. Instead of wondering if you're more deserving than others, ask yourself if your request aligns with how the organization makes decisions. Are you speaking their language? Are you connecting your ask to their priorities? Are you making it easy for them to say yes? If you want the easy yes, you have to put yourself in the shoes of your manager and of their manager. What is needed right now? What would be most helpful at this time? The fourth challenge is perfectionism. Oh, my favorite, because this is one I always struggle with. We wait until we have an airtight case before making any requests. But the most strategic advocates understand that timing often matters more than perfection. They make requests when they can demonstrate clear value, even if they haven't checked every possible box. Here's what I want you to remember. Being strategic doesn't mean being calculating or manipulative. It means understanding how decisions get made and positioning your requests accordingly. It means thinking like a leader who understands organizational dynamics, not like someone asking for a favor. Knowing what to say is only half the equation. Knowing when and how to say it is equally important. Strategic timing can be the difference between a request that's well received and one that falls flat. First, let's talk about timing within your organizational cycle. If you're asking for a promotion or raise, understand your company's budget and planning cycles. Don't wait until the week before budget decisions are finalized to bring up your compensation. Similarly, if you are requesting new opportunities or responsibilities, align your ask with project planning cycles and strategic initiatives. Pay attention to your manager's schedule and stress levels. Avoid making important requests when your manager is dealing with a crisis, preparing for a major presentation, or juggling competing priorities. Instead, look for moments when they have the bandwidth to give your request the attention it deserves. Consider your own performance cycle as well. The best time to make requests is when your contributions are visible and your value is clear. This might be after completing a successful project, exceeding quarterly targets, or receiving positive feedback from clients or colleagues. The setting for your conversation matters too. Choose a private space where you can have an uninterrupted conversation. This shows respect for the importance of the discussion and allows for open dialogue. If you work remotely, suggest a video call rather than handling this over email or chat. And finally, think about the format of your request as well. While the conversation should happen in person or via video call, consider following up with a written summary that outlines what you discussed and any agreed upon next steps. This creates documentation and helps ensure everyone is aligned on the outcomes. Remember, timing isn't about finding the perfect moment. It's about being strategic and thoughtful about when and how you initiate these conversations. Now, let's put it out there. Not every request will be met with immediate acceptance, and that's okay. Knowing how to handle pushback and engage in productive negotiation is a crucial skill for any leader. The key is to view pushback not as a rejection, but as information that can help you refine your approach. When someone says no to your request, your first step is to understand why. Don't accept it as is. Ask open-ended questions like, can you help me understand what factors influence this decision? Or what would need to change for this to be possible in the future? This shows maturity and strategic thinking while gathering information you can use to adjust your approach. Sometimes the no isn't about you at all, and that's the tough one. Sometimes it's about the timing, budget constraints, organizational priorities, or factors you were not aware of. By understanding the real reasons behind the response, you can determine whether this is a temporary obstacle or a permanent barrier. If the pushback is about concerns related to your readiness or qualifications, view this as valuable feedback. Ask for specific examples and clear criteria for what you would need to change for the request to be considered. Then create a plan to address those areas and set a timeline for revisiting this conversation. And make sure to stick to that timeline as much as you possibly can. Remember that negotiation is often part of the process. If your initial request isn't possible, explore alternatives. If you ask for a promotion and it's not available, could you take on additional responsibilities that would position you for the next opportunity? If a salary increase isn't in the budget, could you negotiate for additional benefits, professional development opportunities, or a commitment to revisit compensation at a specific future date? Throughout any negotiation, maintain your professionalism and focus on problem solving rather than arguing. Approach the conversation as a collaborative effort to find solutions that work for everyone. You want it to be a win-win opportunity instead of a win-lose opportunity. Like any skill, strategic advocacy improves with intentional practice. That means the more you do it, the better you will get at it. The goal isn't to ask for more things. It's to get better at how you ask for things that matter to your career growth. Start by analyzing your past requests. Which ones were successful and why? Which ones didn't get the response you hoped for? Look for patterns in how you position your asks, the timing you chose, and the language you used. This analysis will help you identify what strategic adjustments might improve your success rate in the future. Practice the clear framework in lower stakes situations at first. Use it when requesting resources for a project, asking for agenda time in meetings, or clarifying role expectations. Pay attention to how the structured approach changes both your confidence in making the request and the response you receive. Develop your organizational literacy. The more strategic advocates understand how decisions get made in their companies, who has influence, what language resonates with leadership, how do successful initiatives get framed, the better you understand your organizational ecosystem, the more strategically you can position your requests. Seek feedback specifically about your advocacy approach. Ask trusted colleagues or mentors not whether you should ask for things, but how you might position your requests more effectively. Sometimes we think we are being strategic when we are actually being too indirect, or we think we are being collaborative when we actually are underselling our value. Create a strategic development plan for your advocacy skills. Identify one area to focus on each quarter. Perhaps it's improving how you quantify your impact, getting better at linking requests to organizational priorities, or becoming more skilled at handling pushback. Treat strategic advocacy like any other professional competency that deserves dedicated development time. And finally, celebrate your strategic wins and learn from every interaction. Each time you make a strategic request, regardless of the immediate outcome, you are building valuable data about what works in your environment and refining your approach for future opportunities. Asking for what you want isn't about being selfish or demanding. It's about being clear, strategic, and confident in your value. It's about taking responsibility for your career growth and modeling leadership behavior for other women. I want to challenge you to identify one request you've been putting off, something you want, need, or deserve, but haven't asked for yet. It might be a conversation about your career path, a request for additional resources, or an opportunity to lead a new initiative. Or hey, if I can be a little selfish, I would love to have you join us in the incubator. Perhaps you could ask for professional development funds and join us in the Ignite Your Leadership Power Incubator, which is starting up in the fall for the fall cohort. So if you ask for some funds, that is a great way not only to improve your skills, but you will have an opportunity to apply these skills to your work environment. So you will benefit and your environment will benefit. Use the clear communication framework we discussed today. Clarify the context and what you need. Link to mutual benefits. Express your request with confidence. Affirm your commitment and make your request specifically. Practice the conversation beforehand if it helps you feel more prepared. But don't let perfectionism keep you from moving forward. If you want a deeper dive into this clear framework and develop your leadership skills, communication skills further, I'd love to have you join us in my signature group coaching program, Ignite Your Leadership Power Incubator, where we spend dedicated time mastering these essential leadership skills. Registration for our fall cohort opens soon, so you can join the waitlist to make sure you don't miss out on any spots when they become available. You can find the link to the waitlist in the show notes. Click on the link, register so that when the cohort registrations open up, you will be one of the first people to receive the email that says, hey, spots are open, because they are definitely limited. We purposefully keep the program small to ensure that each one of the women in the program gets as much attention as possible. Remember, every time you advocate for yourself effectively, you are not only advancing your own career, you are changing the narrative about what's possible for women in leadership. You are paving the way for the next generation of women leaders who will watch your example and find the courage to ask for what they need to. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear about it. Share your biggest takeaway on social media and tag me. You can find my socials in the show notes. Tag me on LinkedIn, tag me on Instagram. I would love to hear how this is helping you, how it's making a difference, which ones you are trying out. And if you found value in this conversation, please take a moment to rate and review the show. Your reviews help other women discover these conversations. And together we are building a community of leaders who communicate with confidence and lead with impact. Until next Thursday, my friend, I am Kele, reminding you that great communication is the foundation of inspiring leadership. Keep learning, keep growing, and remember to communicate to lead.